people seem to forget or don't realize about this investigation, it was a death investigation. It really wasn't a crime at the time. From the information that I had, it was probably an accident or natural, and we would find out that he had some pre-existing medical condition, and then we would be done.
He was known by many names: the King of Pop, musical genius, a global icon. But behind the music, behind the moonwalk, behind the applause, was a human being the world truly never understood. This is not a story about scandals. This is not a story about rumors. This is a story of Michael Jackson, a boy who lost his childhood, a man who carried impossible expectations, and a legend whose pain was truly ignored. So stick until the end of this video because we are going to reveal the dark side of his fame and his mysterious death. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958 in Gary, Indiana. He was the 8th of the 10 children in a working-class family. Music was not a hobby in the Jackson household. It was a way out. At just 5 years old, Michael's talent was undeniable. His voice was powerful, emotional, far beyond his age. But talent came with a price. Rehearsals were intense. Mistakes were not tolerated. Perfection was demanded. While other children played, Michael performed. While others slept, Michael rehearsed. And slowly, his childhood disappeared. At the age of just 11 years, Michael was already famous in American TVs. But fame did not come only through music, because in the 70s, there was a famous cartoon series, a series that was created by Jackson's family, which was known as the Jackson 5. In the year 1976, the Jackson's family started a TV variety show called The Jacksons. Despite of them being famous, Michael Jackson's fame was a unique one. So their father, Joe Jackson, decided to venture into music business. By luck, 2 years later, Bobby Tyler and Vivan Cover, they noticed the group of the Jackson 5 and they signed with a record label known as Motown Records, a big record label that signed legends like Stevie Wonder and others like Smokey Robinson and the Supremes. And from there, the success of their music began because they recorded hit songs like I Want You Back, Never Can Say Goodbye, ABC, and I Will Be There. They sold millions of their copies. After the fame, they moved from Gary to Los Angeles. They stayed under Motown Records until 1976, where they signed out for their freedom and started working with another record label known as Epic Records. So they decided to change even their names from Jackson 5 to the Jacksons, and they recorded not less than 6 albums, and that was in 1976 to 1984. And at that time, Michael Jackson was seen to have a very unique something inside because during the year 1972 to 1975, he had already recorded music as a solo artist for about 4 albums. Those albums were Got to Be There, Ben, Music and Me, and lastly, Forever Michael. But still, they was not that popular. Now, in 1977, Michael met with a popular producer during that time who was known as Quincy Jones, who was under also Epic Records, and they started working together. In the year 1979, he released an album known as Off the Wall, and that's when he became popular as a solo artist outside the group of the Jacksons. Through the album of Off the Wall, Michael Jackson was the first artist to release 4 hit songs that were selected in different charts as the top 10. The songs were She's Out of My Life, Okay, Rock With You, Don't Stop Until You Get Enough, and the song that carried the title of the album, Off the Wall. Michael Jackson now became the king of the pop, and the album that followed was called Thriller in the year 1983. The album that recorded new history in the world for selling a massive number than other albums in the music during that time. Thriller sold more than 45 million copies in the whole world, and this time round now, he became bigger and better. Through this album, he recorded 7 hit songs that became more popular. Remember, in the previous album, he recorded only 4 songs. While other artists struggled to get only 1 award, Michael won 8 Grammy Awards at once through the Thriller album in just one night. In 1987, he released another popular album that is still even now known as Bad, which sold very well in that year. After the releasing of the Bad, Michael started the trip going around the world for music concerts. And here, he broke the record of a solo artist concert to have tens of thousands of people. Not even 10, hundreds of thousands of people. Due to the success of the Bad and Thriller album, Michael Jackson was recognized as the best artist for a decade. And now, he made himself a person who does wonders. In 1988, Michael bought a house and a children's playground, which was popular in the whole world, and it was in Neverland. He said, because during his childhood, he did not have any time to do such, and that's why he decided to buy that house. He loved playing with children, and when he had time, he used to play with the children at his compound, and sometimes they slept in Michael's home. Because of that, Michael found himself in many scandals. So, allow me to touch only a few of these scandals that were never told. Michael Jackson said in an interview with Winnie Oprah that during his childhood, their father used to punish them for small mistakes. Joe Jackson used to insult Michael Jackson that he had a big nose, and those words made Michael to do more than 10 times surgeries just to reduce his nose. The operations of the surgery brought many trouble to Michael Jackson because there was a time he had pain in his nose and he had even difficulty in breathing. At times, his nose was filled with watery substance, and that forced him to put on a tape to prevent the water that was coming out. He also said at a certain interview with Martin Bashir that he did not do the face surgery, he only did it for his nose, and because of that, he even got more popular. Michael did many operations for his face, and lastly, even during his death, he had different looks for more than 10 times. Now, in 1994, Michael Jackson was shooting an advert, a Pepsi commercial. He was literally on fire when a firework ignited his hair. That night, he experienced a lot of pain, not only the 2nd and the 3rd degree burns to his scalp and body, but also introduced to the world of pain, medication, and in plastic surgery. In 1999, he collapsed after finishing his performance because during the show, he had a spine dislocation. So he was rushed to the hospital where again he was put into a serious medication. Stress and pain transformed into a serious health problems for Michael Jackson, and one that he suffered the most was insomnia. There was a time when he even did not sleep for 3 days in a row, and the only thing that he could put him into sleep was painkillers and sedative drugs. After a few years, Michael had developed a strong addiction to propofol, a powerful sedative used by anesthesiologists to sedate patients during the surgery. He even recognized it as his milk, as the color of the substance resembles milk. Now, in June 25th, 2009, what happened the night when Michael Jackson died? If you have any idea, you just drop a comment. Actually, it was just a normal night, nothing special. One of his personal doctor, Dr. Murray, induced a small dose of propofol into Jackson's body and put him in a drip. Sounds confusing, right? In a nutshell, during a propofol, anesthesiologist initially administers a small dose to make a patient fall asleep. And after that, the doctor needs to be able to maintain the concentration of the sedative in the patient's blood. Otherwise, the sleep won't last long. Now, shortly after the dose, Dr. Murray put Michael on a drip when a small dose was being continuously delivered to the patient through intravenous equipment, thus keeping the concentration of the sedative in his blood. So, something went wrong. See, the big reason why doctors should have proper equipment when administering drugs like this is that the reaction of a human body to a strong sedatives can be unpredictable because there's mild sedation, moderate sedation, and deep sedation. Well, in mild and moderate sedation, a patient's breathing themselves, the brain actually controls the act of breathing. In deep sedation, it's actually vice versa. The brain is not capable of controlling breath, and the patient needs to be put on ventilation to keep breathing. That night, Michael's body reacted unusually, and he transitioned into deep sedation. and there was no equipment monitoring his heart rate, which would have alerted Dr. Murray on time. And it was a coincidence that Dr. Murray left the medication room for a few minutes right at the time Michael Jackson basically stopped breathing. In medical terms, he had a respiratory arrest. But despite that, he could still have been saved because the only thing that he needed was oxygen. But Dr. Murray was not ready to handle this situation. After his return, he noticed something was wrong, but he thought Michael was experiencing a heart issue. So he started performing CPR, which was unnecessary of what he should have done. He did not even call for help immediately. And the qualified help was not in the time to save Jackson's life. Later, Dr. Murray suggested his own version of what happened, claiming that he only gave Jackson the initial dose just to fall asleep, and Michael put himself in a drip, while Murray was out to make a phone call. The court did not believe that.
Robert Murray, guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter.
In my personal opinion, Michael Jackson's condition was known to his close circle of business partners, but no one wanted to help him quit the drugs. But in the end, it looks like Michael Jackson, who is performing live despite using drugs, was more profitable than the one who was at the rehab fixing his addiction. Here is the story of Michael Jackson. So make sure to subscribe and comment.